For this training module, we're going to go over recipes. From our main screen, we can hover our mouse over any recipe. It'll underline it and it'll say View Recipe. Clicking on that recipe, we can get a quick view of it, and then we can just come right back to our main screen. Or we can click on it again and print that recipe. This opens up a PDF file. You can save it to your computer or you can print it. Every recipe has the same format. You'll have the recipe name, the number of people you're serving. It'll scale it to that number, the nutritional facts, the procedures. Sometimes you'll see tips. At the bottom of the recipe, there'll be special diet instructions. There's 11 of them that we can turn on and off per your preference. But we tell you what you need to do different for that special diet, for that recipe, should it be needed. Coming back to our main screen, we can also print multiple recipes at once. To the left of every recipe there's a box, and we can put check marks to the left of each recipe that we'd like to view and print. It puts it all in one PDF file. There's the first one, the second one, and the third one. If you want to print a whole bunch of recipes at once, you can click on Select All, and it puts a check mark next to each one, and you can turn them off as needed. All of these just toggle on and off as you need it. In one of our other training modules, we talked about editing the menu. And as you do the pull downs to the right of every recipe, those recipes will pop open and you can look at the details here as well. And as you hover over them, each one of these recipes pop open. You can see what it is and select a different recipe as needed. Going to our recipe tab. This recipe tab is a cookbook. It's an index into our database, and you can see all our recipes. There'll be the name of the recipe, the serving size price. There'll be different categories and types. These buttons here tells me that I can go to page 2 of the recipes, page 3. I can go to the beginning and end of those recipes. If I want to search for a particular recipe name, I can click on like the word fish, and it will search the database, bring up all the recipes that have the name fish in it. This particular one has about 2 pages worth of recipes. I can also do the categories and look at all the salads that have ham in it and click on search. And there's those. I could search on, let's say I want to look at a pasta Alfredo. I'm going to search on that. Maybe I want to look at the creamy pasta Alfredo. Another thing you can do if you want, and it just depends on your facility and what your needs are, but I could add a picture of that dish and what it might look like. And I'm just going to pick a pasta one here that I downloaded, and I can save it. I'll put a picture there. I could also change the name. If I can make the name more simple and just call it pasta, or I can make it as fancy as I want, or I can just call it Mom's and save it. And then I can print that recipe, and it'll have the name that I changed in the picture if I want that. One other thing you can do is you can add your own recipe. So as you look through the database and you don't see a favorite that you might have, you can click on New Recipe. You add in your procedures and tips and so on, and then you submit it to Grove Menus. Then we put all the information behind the scenes that it needs, and then you'll have access to that recipe later on. And you can look at your submitted recipes here and see the progress of them. One other thing I want to go over is that we have the ability to tag your account to the type of recipes that you'd like to see by default. This spreadsheet that we can send you is called Premade versus Homemade. Because some people want to have pre-made pizzas, other people want homemade pizzas. Some people want frozen beans versus fresh beans. So in this spreadsheet, you just tell us what you prefer. So if you typically have more pre-formed burgers, you'd put an X here. Maybe the meatballs are more homemade. When I go down to the vegetables, maybe I want my asparagus to be fresh and my broccoli to be fresh, but I want my corn to be canned. So you fill out this sheet, save it, then send it to us, and we'll tag your account. And then by default, when you look at your menus in your recipe, you will see what you have chosen by default. Again, you can edit and change your menus you choose to, but that's a way to control your defaults. So that's it for this training module. Thank you for listening.